Mr. Raymond Schneider, you and the defendant were a couple and rented an apartment together. What month and year did you lease the apartment?
Originally, we leased the apartment several years ago. I think it's in July of 2013.
Did you renew the lease?
Yes.
The last renewal of the lease was when?
That would have been last year.
Month,
I would say probably around June.
And then there came a time when the relationship broke down, and that was when?
I couldn't exactly give a date, Your Honor. I would
How
say
about a month?
A month? I would
You
say
know? What month?
Thanksgiving Day last year, 2015.
Okay. Now, so you had a long-term live-in relationship. You renewed the lease at least twice. Did you own 2 cars?
Separate vehicles, yes.
Yes. You had a job?
Yes, part-time. I was going to school full-time as well.
How were you supporting yourself other than the part-time job?
Student loans, grants, and scholarships that I received.
And what were you doing, Miss Anderson?
In November, I had
Not
started...
November. In 2015.
I was working
For whom?
part-time
For whom?
at a gift shop and a museum.
And what were you doing with the other part-time?
I just had that job, which I still carry now,
How do you support yourself?
with this job.
Okay. So you both were working part-time. You may have had student loans. I don't know what else you did to complete your income package, but each one of you were paying your own bills, correct?
Yes.
You bought your own clothes?
Correct.
You bought your own clothes?
Yes, Your Honor.
You paid your own car note and insurance?
That's right.
You paid your own car note and insurance?
Correct.
Okay. And that was out of a checking account?
Yes.
That was out of a checking account?
That's right.
Did you ever have a joint checking account?
No.
Okay. Then you had other bills. Then you had basic household bills. How much was the rent?
Recently, it was $750, Your Honor.
Okay, so it was $750. And how was the rent split?
I would say 50-50, Your Honor.
What do you mean you would say? What does that mean?
I paid my half. When she couldn't afford her half, I had to cover it.
So you covered her half of the rent.
A lot of the times, yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct, with an exception that I paid for other bills, including electricity bills and gas bills and other things on top of
Well,
it.
other things. What other things?
Groceries every now and then, the cable bill and the internet bills every now and then too, what I could
Okay,
pay.
so what you're telling me is when you could afford it, you paid half of the rent. When you couldn't afford it, he covered the rent.
Correct, with his
Okay.
agreement.
And you also paid, when you could, the electric bill and some groceries
And including the gas bill too.
and a gas bill.
Yes.
Okay. Then in November, things went south, and this is what the case is about. There came a time, Miss Anderson, when neither one of you wanted to leave the apartment. Each one of you wanted the apartment. And so we were at a stalemate. You're each on the lease and decided to do what I think is impossible to do after a long-term relationship, stay in an apartment together and run your lives separately. But you, sir, say that there came a point where Miss Anderson, who wanted to remain in the apartment, wanted you to leave, stopped paying rent at all. And when was that?
I couldn't say exactly, Your Honor,
Well,
because...
listen to me. This is a court. This is not a guessing game. You filed a lawsuit. Your lawsuit said at some point she stopped paying any rent, she stopped paying any bills. She was basically a squatter because you were no longer a couple. So you have to tell me when that happened, in what month.
I couldn't tell you exactly what month, Your Honor, because, for example, all of last year I paid for every month. Even some of
No,
these bills that
this-
she speaks of, Your Honor, the cable bill, the gas bill,
Listen to
I
me.
paid those as well.
I don't care. As long as you're in a couple relationship and enjoying each other, sharing a bedroom, sharing a life together, doing things together as a couple, I don't care whether she paid the rent or she didn't pay the rent. Then you're no longer a couple and no longer have the perks of the relationship. No longer go out to dinner together, go to a movie together, snuzzle at night together. She might even bring a new boyfriend. Is that a new boyfriend? Might even bring a new boyfriend home at night. So at that point, that person is no longer your girlfriend or your partner. She becomes your roommate. Once she becomes your roommate, she's got to pay her bills. So I'm going to ask you again, in what month after November of 2015 did she stop paying rent?
In November.
Okay, and when did she move out?
She moved out in June of this year.